the three of us, we watch a lot of content, as you would have understood. So we thought we'll have a discussion about what we've seen recently.
I mean, it is like a feast, and I've enjoyed it.
Seriously, this is the origin?
But it didn't grip my interest at all.
That okay, this guy was angry young man, now he's angry old man.
Angry older man.
We are not critics. We are lovers of cinema. तो हमारे जो लिसनर्स हैं वो दहाड़ मारेंगे, कटहल खाएंगे,
टर्मिनल में जाके बैठेंगे,
फिर टेल्सा में जाके एम्पायर खड़ा करेंगे।
लेकिन सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट ये है कि वो लोग सब नाइकी एयर जूता पहन करके जाएंगे।
And listen to our podcast also. Just do it.
You're listening to Dime a Dozen Films podcast. Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of Dime a Dozen Films podcast. We're so happy to be with you again, and we hope you liked our last podcast. And thank you so much for supporting us. Hello Ashuji, hello Saurabh, how are you?
Hello, Nalini ji, Saurabh, and hello to all our listeners. Hi to all of them, all over the globe, wherever you are. And it's such a pleasure to constantly keep speaking about something that we love and we are passionate about films, about various kinds of content that is available to see on in theaters or on OTT platforms. And we are here once more to speak about the recent topic, which Nalini ji will speak more about. But welcome to everybody.
Hi Ashuji, hi Nalini ji. I think this episode will also be very fun episode like other episodes.
Yes, we enjoy doing them, and we really hope that our listeners are enjoying it. But gauging from some of the feedback that we're getting, I think people are liking it, right, Saurabh?
Yes.
Oh, I've got some very good feedback on the episodes, and they especially seem to like the diversity of our podcast, because we come from varied backgrounds and we bring our experiences or expertise into the podcast based on what our backgrounds are. So it becomes fairly diverse. It's interesting, and it's so much more fun. So yes, I've got some very raving reviews about the podcast. What have you heard, Saurabh?
Yes, I'm also getting some good reviews, and even our topics are also diverse.
Absolutely.
We have discussed about a docu-series, which is quite rare, because I think the docu-series which we discussed, I think there is no podcast regarding a dedicated episode on Dancing on the Grave. So it's quite exclusive. So please listen to our podcast.
Yes, thank you. Well said, Saurabh. And today's episode, we were thinking, listeners, that instead of dedicating it to just one film or one docu-series, between the three of us, we watch a lot of content, as you would have understood. So we thought we'll have a discussion about what we've seen recently. It could be over the last 1 week, or it could be over the last 2 weeks, but not earlier than that. And we would like to talk about the things that we've liked or disliked, for that matter. And I just want to remind our listeners, in case people have forgotten, because right in the beginning in our first podcast, and we had said this very clearly, that we are not critics. We are lovers of cinema, and we are coming from that space. And this is a podcast which is not sponsored. We just do it for ourselves. And thank you so much for your support. So today's topic is things that we have seen on either OTT platforms or in the theaters. And to begin with, I would just like to go over to Ashuji. Ashuji, what have you watched, and what would you like to talk about?
Week to 2 weeks. My God, that's a long period for us, for film lovers. In 14 days, we'll end up watching probably 28 things.
And Ashuji, it becomes difficult to remember also, na?
It does. It does. I remember you reminding me, did you see this also? I said, oh yeah, I saw this also, and I saw this as well. But yes, there are a few things that I'd like to speak about. So I'll tell you, on Prime, I watched a film called Air, and I've written a blog about it. And I think it is one of the most fascinating films I have seen in the recent past. It is inspiring to another level. Although the film is about a sportsman, it is not about sports. And for me, the two things that I'm extremely passionate about is sports and films. And when you have both of them combined in a film, I mean, it is like a feast, and I've enjoyed it. So what I like about Air is that it has been executed in such simplicity, but yet it appeals so brilliantly. It talks about, I mean, there is a line in the film which I can't get over. It says that a shoe is a shoe unless you step into it. My God, what a line that is.
Superb, superb. Absolutely.
Eh,
Yeah.
there is this little extempore speech that Matt Damon breaks into that sort of just fascinates you. It holds you. You just get glued and you wonder, my God, what has he said? And your reaction is mirrored by the characters within the film because even they didn't expect Matt Damon to say something like this. But what it also taught me that is, if you trust in yourself and you believe uh, that you can do it, then you must go ahead and do it. You shouldn't bother with what the rest of the people around you talk about because they will always try to pull you down. You're the only one who knows what you are capable of and you should go ahead with. And this is about uh, Jordan striking a deal with Nike, where he not only endorses the product and takes the amount that he's talking about as a minimum guarantee per annum. He says, if you're good, so it was difficult to get Jordan to endorse Nike because he was sold on the idea of wanting to work for Adidas. And one of the biggest things that they did in their pitch was that they named a shoe on him called Air Jordan. And that's where the name of the film, Air. And that's where Jordan says that, okay, I will take the endorsement. I will agree with you. Starting off where he didn't even want to sit with them in that room. And then he goes ahead and says that I will take a piece of every sale of the shoe that you do globally, everywhere. And the CEO thinks, which is played by Ben Affleck, brilliantly and very aptly done as well. CEO thinks that it could be a maximum of 3 millions of sales. What difference does it make? We will give him a piece of it. And the first year itself, only Michael Jordan's income was $264 million through the sale of the shoe. So it's got a lot of wow moments, very simply goes. But one of the things that I really love is, Matt Damon, which everybody, all of us know that he's such a fit guy and he's played brilliant action films and whatever. In the end of the film, he's on a racing track, wanting to exercise, sort of, jog so that he can lose weight because he's got a pot belly here. And he looks around, everybody running, and he feels, yes, you feel that energy of everybody. And he runs for about 20 steps. And then he says, oh, damn, forget it. And he turns around and walks away.
Doesn't he say something like not good, not happening? Something, what does he say at that point in time?
Yeah, something like that. Oh, it's not happening. And you know that he's not made for running. So there are certain people who are made for running and there are certain who are not. Matt Damon in this film fits in the category of I'm not made for running. I don't care. But his gumption.
That's quite ironical because it's about a man selling sports shoes.
And he doesn't run.
Yes.
But but the gumption of this man, the determination of this man, setting his eyes on his target, which is Michael Jordan, and then going against all odds and winning him over is what this film is about. If you have not watched it, I highly recommend you to watch this. So the other films and other stuff I'll talk about later. But I think for the moment, I'd like to pass the baton on to Saurabh.
Yeah, go ahead, Saurabh.
So this is the movie which we all three watched. This is just for the listeners that we watched Air. We all three watched this movie, and we all loved the film.
Oh, yes.
The start of the film itself, audience will get into the film because it shows the timeline, what all happened in 1984. So they show the political things which happened in that year. Then they show the movies, the popular songs,
Oh, yeah.
the style, everything. So it sets the mood of the film.
It transports you as a viewer into the world that the director is trying to create through these collage of visuals that he puts.
Yeah. And Matt Damon just, I loved, like, after a long time we saw Matt Damon and Ben Affleck together.
Yes.
And interestingly, Ben Affleck, the movies which he directed all comes under psychological psychological thrillers, actions. But this is the film which is very different from his other films. It's a human story, and it's a sports film, which also reminded me of Aaron Sorkin's movies, the style of that film, because it's a conversation-driven film. So that's why it reminded me of Aaron Sorkin. Especially it reminded me of a film called Moneyball.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, wonderful.
Oh, I've seen that a few times, Moneyball. Yeah, yeah. Talk more about that. Yeah.
That's a Brad Pitt film, right?
Yes.
So that speech of Matt Damon, that reminded me of Moneyball, because in that also there's a scene where he's convincing, what's his name? Moneyball, protagonist name I forgot.
Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt को कैसे भूल गए?
अभी तो कहा था आशु जी ने ब्रैड पिट का नाम लिया.
Yeah. Brad Pitt, it reminded me of Brad Pitt, because in that scene, in that film also, there's a scene where he's convincing people, he's giving a monologue. Aaron Sorkin, तो definitely there will be a monologue. So this film also reminded me of his style of filmmaking, because in Moneyball he was only the writer.
Ah, nice. I loved Moneyball. I've seen it twice, I think. Yeah. Yeah.
And this film also, a trivia lover like me, this film also reminded me. This film also gave me many information about Nike, how the Nike name came, the origin of Nike, and the origin of the tagline, "Just do it."
Just
Yes,
do
it
it.
comes
My
out from
God.
Matt Damon's mouth, in the film. He says it, just do it.
It sounds so ridiculous that this is the source of just do it.
Even the other character, I think he's talking to Matt Damon is talking to, I don't know, I think Ben Affleck or someone, and Matt Damon is reacting the way I reacted after listening the origin. Seriously, like this is the origin. Chris Tucker was also amazing.
Oh,
in the
yes.
film.
Yes.
I like the way he talks, no? Hey
Yes.
man, what's up, man? What are you doing, man?
There's another brilliant line in the film, brilliant line, where NBA has a rule that it has to be mostly white.
Yes.
There cannot be any other different color. And these guys decide to make a shoe which has got much more red than white.
Yeah.
And the shoemaker says, you might have to end up paying $5,000 per match as match fees. So Jason Bateman then says, the marketing genius or guru that he is, he says, you know what? Let's make the shoe red. Let's pay the fines and let's advertise that NBA is against color.
Yeah. Superb.
What a line.
Superb.
What a line.
The thing about this film is the writing is very strong. The dialogues, for me, it was the writing and the dialogues. And I just wanted to ask you, because this is what I felt when I was watching it. Of course, the speech that Matt Damon makes, that's the really wow point. And it is extempore. Nobody thinks that he's going to go off into that monologue. But for me, the whole film felt like it was almost extempore. It didn't feel like a film. It didn't feel like abhi इन्होंने बोला होगा कि चलो यहाँ पे कैमरा लगाते हैं, lights लगाते हैं, action cut बोलते हैं, sound. It just felt so organic. Everything was just happening so organically, like it was so real. You were pulled into that world and you were inside that room. I don't know. That's what I felt a lot throughout the film. That it was. Sorry, you were saying something, Ashuri?
Yeah. So the camera is like a fly on the wall.
Yeah, it didn't feel like a movie to me. It was, and the decisions that were being taken, that Matt Damon takes off, he just takes off and goes to meet the parents and Viola Davis, and he is sitting outside and talking about it. And he just takes these decisions, and it's not as if it's well thought out. Then there's, of course, that other fantastic wow moment. Y'all have spoken about so many things, and I agree with both of y'all on everything. And just like it happens in cinema, there is always one point, and at that point, the music also becomes a little, and something's going to happen, and the body language is going to change. And he's watching that basketball match, and he's going over it and over it and over it again. And then he stops and he rewinds and he sits up, and that's when he actually sees what Jordan is all about. And based on that, he goes back the next day, because he says that he knows the ball's going to come to him. He knows, he's just relaxing. He's there. He knows the ball's going to come to him. And those small, small things, and goes back and, but his tenacity and his conviction is what just held that film through. And he never gave up. And those lines between him and Ben Affleck, I forget them now, but the dialogues are so fabulous when he says that, what am I doing here? What am I supposed to be doing here? Isn't this what you brought me here for? And that end line, sort of, Ashuji, do you remember when everything is done and the deal is struck and they've even agreed for the whatever Jordan has asked for, rather Jordan's mother? There's something, an exchange between the two of them where he then tells him his worth.
Yeah, he says you're the guru or something. I can't remember that line exactly, but yeah, I know what you're talking. But you know what happens is the beauty is that this film is full of such kind of moments, and that is what keeps the film fresh. It keeps you engaging, and you feel like watching. The film's watch is a breeze. You love it.
Yeah, and I'm going to watch it again. That's what I was saying, telling Saurabh today. I'm going
It
to
has
watch
an absolute repeat value. It
Oh,
has,
yes. And it's a period film and it's not heavy for that. What I'm saying is sometimes when you go back into period, people concentrate on a lot of other things because they have to get the atmosphere right, they have to get the cars right, they have to get the clothes right. Here, yes, okay, they've got everything right, but it's not even, it doesn't feel like an effort. That's what I felt, that it was so, the whole film was extempore for me. It was just brilliant.
In this film, if there is some stuff that needs to be said, the camera's not posed on, okay, here is uh, an antique which we have made, and what do you think? This works? Does this is the kind of effort the art direction has done, or the set design people have done, or the production designer have done? No, it is there. It is that world. So the moment you want to underline it, you're actually taking it away from it. And that's the beauty of it. This is what you're trying to say, Nalini. Is that right?
Exactly. It's seamless and it just sucks you in, and you don't, in fact, you're wanting to listen to the dialogues and you are looking at the actors. Everything else is, uh, it's just there. You know what I'm saying? You're not looking at something because you're getting bored of what's happening, That's
Correct, correct.
yeah, yeah. It's just, and that's why it has so much, for me, it just has, I'm going to watch it a couple more times for sure. And just soak in every single dialogue, because every single conversation, no matter how casual it is, even the conversations they have in the bathroom, and when they come out, and they're all, and it's when they're sleeping, and they've worked so hard to get everything done, and when they're preparing for that meeting, and then that meeting happens, all their body languages, all of them, and the way they plan how the CEO is going to enter a few
Yeah.
minutes later. And
Brilliant
yeah,
strategy.
and
Brilliant strategy. And the
yeah,
best part is he comes and spells it out as if he's supposed to be doing that. It's so good.
yeah.
I'm very late. I run $1 billion company. And it's so beautiful.
All their body language, including Viola Davis and Michael Jordan's father, they're all sort of everybody, and that's how it is, no? When you're going in for a big meeting, and it's just felt so organic to me. It's a beautiful film, just beautiful.
And they've made sure that they do not show the face of the actor who's
Yeah,
played
yeah.
Michael Jordan.
That was the icing on the cake. It wasn't even necessary. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm glad they didn't.
So over to you, Saurabh. Sorry we took away your light a little, but that's
no.
how the film is.
I'm just listening. I like the whenever these guys, whenever Matt Damon is pitching any idea to Ben Affleck, he says that I didn't like it, but I think slowly it will grow on me. मुझे अपना
On me.
मेरा मैनेजर भी ऐसी ही है, कोई आइडिया पिच करो तो ऐसे ही बोलता है.
Yeah, very good film. After a long time, a very good film from Hollywood also, because Hollywood's what you may call it, content has also not been that great, right, Saurabh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've eventually got into more packaging than into films that are so real.
Yeah.
I mean, they've just decided to get into Marvel stories or DC, where they've got one actor, then another superhero, then another superhero. And somewhere down the line, you've realized that where is the soul of the film? These other films that they made, the real films that they made, where is that gone? And then it's such a fresh air to watch films like Air.
Yeah.
And there is no superhero here, just Air.
And I love the guy, the talent manager, and all his abuses and everything when he and then they're best friends. And then he very casually lets out that word, and then this guy picks it up, and then he says, "No, it was me," and he says, "No." And then those the interactions between Matt Damon and that talent guy on the phone. Oh, that actor is also fabulous. I forget his name. Oh, but
Yeah, the
yeah.
character is called Falk.
Yeah.
I don't know the name of the actor.
Yeah.
But Saurabh, I'll tell you, if you do not pick this up and get into another film of yours, we can spend the entire podcast on air, believe me. So please start with the other stuff that you've seen.
I think this movie is like that we have to like we can discuss for a long
Yeah.
time.
We can, but we can't have an extended podcast. So for the benefit of the podcast, I think we should move on.
Yeah, so I watched very few movies. So ये actually बहाना था कि stretch करें. I'm just joking. I watched Dahad.
दहाड़ नाम जो है वो ऐसा है कि शेर की दहाड़ की तरह बात करोगे तुम.
Exactly, आशु जी, Dahad है फिल्म वेब सीरीज का नाम.
हम्म.
But I was wondering why the title is Dahad, क्योंकि वैसा कुछ है नहीं like in the web series. Nothing related to Dahad.
अच्छा.
हाँ, title could have been like anything, missing, kidnap, गुमशुदा,
अच्छा.
लापता, ऐसे टाइटल्स हो सकते थे. बट भाई दहाड़, लाइक दहाड़ने जैसा तो कुछ था ही नहीं कोई भी कैरेक्टर का.
Difficult for me to comment on it because I haven't watched it, so I don't know what went into the uh, story of it in terms of the characterization. Maybe उनको लगता होगा कि शेरनी की दहाड़ है सोनाक्षी के कैरेक्टर की. Something must be there. I don't know, but if it is not translated into you as a viewer, then obviously it's a big point.
I didn't feel like, and she was सोनाक्षी तो बहुत ही एफर्ट डाल रही थी to show that adamant police officer, very दबंग, और वो एफर्ट दिख भी रहा था. अरे क्या रे, अरे जा रहा, अरे जानता नहीं तू, अरे मारेगा लपड़, ऐसे मतलब पूरा एफर्ट बात कर रही थी. And that accent was also fluctuating. Rajasthani accent.
Fluctuating between?
Fluctuating in the sense राजस्थानी में बात करिए, बाद में फिर वो नॉर्मल हिंदी में जैसे वो इंग्लिश में जैसे बात करती है ना नॉर्मली,
हाँ हाँ,
वैसे ही हो रहा था. फोन में जब बात कर रही थी एक सीन में, मन्ने, फिर मन्ने ऐसा हो गया.
Yeah, so Saurabh, you took the words out of my mouth. I only saw one episode of this, and in that only her accent fell, where she speaks on the phone and she's speaking to the mother and she's just talking normal, and then she goes back to the police station and then she's
Exactly.
speaking.
Yeah,
She
that's
gets a call and then she's absolutely that whole line, couple of lines is just normal conversation.
So okay, so I will say, talk about the series overall, what I felt after watching the series. The Hard is quite an average series. It is actually a whodunit, investigative thriller. So whenever they are focusing on where they are investigating, that part is interesting. But when they show subplots and Hindu-Muslim conflict, then caste conflict, when they try to show that, then they are going out of the plot. So that was a big letdown for me. Especially the climax. Climax was too hurried to finish. कैसे भी उसको पकड़ना है. And in that episode, a lot of things are happening. Without giving spoilers, I will just say the plot line. What you call that?
Log line.
Log line. Yeah, log line. The log line is one guy is there. He is kidnapping girls, and many girls are missing, like 29. They mention the exact number also. 29 girls are missing in Rajasthan. And particular place, मंडावा है शायद उस जगह का नाम
मंडावा.
हाँ, तो वहाँ बहुत सारी लड़कियां मिसिंग हो रही है. एंड दैट केस गोज टू गुलशन देवैया, who's the senior officer, and Sonakshi Sinha. So how they investigate, what all they like, in the end they get the culprit or not, that's the plot. And if you see the trailer, even in the trailer it's established, within the second episode it's established who is the culprit. So it's not a who done it, actually it's a police procedural show. जब वो इन्वेस्टिगेट कर रहे थे, जब पुलिस प्रोसीजरल चल रहा था, that time it was fine. especially first and second episodes are very boring. और फर्स्ट सेकंड एपिसोड में जो कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स वो दिखाते हैं, कुछ कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स तो बाद में आते भी नहीं है, जैसे कि उसमें पॉलिटिशियंस वगैरह आते रहते हैं पहले एपिसोड में, दूसरे एपिसोड में, और वो थर्ड फोर्थ फिफ्थ एपिसोड आते आते वो दिखते ही नहीं उस एरिया में भी.
ओह अच्छा.
एंड इन द एंड देयर इज अ सीन ऑफ सोनाक्षी सिन्हा, वो जान पूछ के दिया है, आई कैन अश्योर दैट, टू शो हर इन द लाइमलाइट. There's a heroic scene of Sonakshi Sinha doing something, and that I felt that was unnecessary. I agree that show is about oppressing women and taking control over them, but in the end was unnecessary. So overall, it's an average web
Watch.
series. Average watch. Performance की अगर बात करें तो गुलशन देवैया was good. I liked Gulshan Devaiya's performance, very subtle. और वो बहुत ही प्रोग्रेसिव फादर, सब एकदम कूल फादर सब है, तो मुझे अच्छा लगा था कन्वर्सेशन बिटवीन हिम एंड हिज डॉटर. दैट वाज नाइस.
Yeah, so I saw one episode of The Heart, and I will feel very sorry that I don't want to go back to it, because I wanted to see the whole thing for Gulshan Devaya, because not only was he good in the first episode, but I've heard, from Saurabh also and from other people, that he was the saving grace of the show. And in the first episode itself, it's just full of tropes. So they have a politician, they have these orange and yellow jhandas, they have Muslim boys kidnapping, supposedly, quote unquote, Muslim boys taking away young girls to get married to them. So they've got the love jihad, what they call. So they've got these Hindutva, I'm sure, politicians who come and do dharna outside police stations. They have the cops under pressure. कि किसी को पकड़ना है तो पकड़ना ही. And on the side track, which is actually the main track, that's what, I mean, Saurabh will be able to tell us. The main thing is that it's a murder investigation. Women are disappearing and they're being killed, and they're being found in all separate, mostly in bathrooms or whatever. And then you have Vijay Verma's character, who's very early in the first episode only, it's established that ये तो है, यही है जो सब कर रहा है. और क्यों कर रहा है वो तो नहीं पता, क्योंकि मैंने वो एक एपिसोड के बाद ही इसको देखना, और उसी एक एपिसोड में मुस्लिम बहुत अच्छे हैं, हिंदू खराब हैं, क्योंकि उनको वो उन पे इल्जाम लगा रहे हैं कि just because he's a Muslim boy, you have to catch him. So there's a whole thing. And so the cops, that's Gulshan Devaya and Sonakshi Sinha trying to save. His name is Aslam, I think, the first boy that they save. And they tell him to leave, and they save him because they know he's innocent. So anyway, the name of the girl who supposedly Aslam is supposed to have thing is connected to the politician's family. So naturally, you have to listen to the politician. So tropes ke baad tropes, and of course Sonakshi Sinha's accent falling. Every time she's on the phone, she's very normal, and then when she comes back and she stands. I don't know why you can't be a female cop and stand. I don't know, maybe it's out of turn for me to say that, but why do you have to stand like a man? I don't know. Is that, I know they're tough and everything. So then the body language changes there, and then I don't know. It was just full of tropes. I said, this is going to be very, very predictable. I would have liked to see the murder investigation. So maybe at some point I'll go back to it, but right now I got bored, because I know what's going to happen. I know next they're going to do this, then this, और again उसमें जातिवाद, वो सोनाक्षी सिन्हा को अपने घर में आने नहीं देते, वो जो दूसरी जात की है, तो इसमें इतनी जातिवाद है, तो वही. And it's a show that's being made by Zoya Akhtar and Rima Kakti. And so after doing all their Dil Dhadakne Dos and all those rich men, they've also come rural. So they also, I think, Excel is trying to show everyone that हम भी ये कर सकते हैं जो बाकी लोग कर रहे हैं. छोटे से मंडावा करके जिले में हम जाके कहानी बना सकते हैं. And actually I was reading, I didn't go out to read it, but I think it just fell into my lap, that this is probably based on a guy who actually did that. He poisoned these girls. It's based on a true story which happened, but it didn't grip my interest at all.
So what did grip your interest in the last week or two?
Yeah, so what gripped my, of course, apart from Air, nothing really. I saw something called nothing really. I liked Diplomat, the series. I liked that, and I loved how it ended. That last shot, without giving anything away. It was very interesting. It was fast paced. It was different, and I like all these kind of shows. And I like this lady who was in The Americans,
The
and
Americans.
yeah, I like Diplomat a lot. I would definitely recommend that, and I'm waiting for season 2 because it's ended at a point where the hook point is fantastic. I saw something called Kathal, so I don't know if y'all have seen it.
I've seen about 20 minutes of it,
Okay.
and I was left completely unimpressed. I was, I mean, for the want of me, I've been trying to figure out what is it that made the creative team, the production team, the telecasting team dive into this project and say, yes, we want to make this, or we want to act in it, or we want to execute it. Of course, they must have started with a good intent in terms of a social satire or whatever. I generally watch everything with my wife. More than me, it was my wife who said, can we please switch this off and see something else? Because that's how it just didn't do anything to me at all. And I was just telling you, Nalini ji, that अगर ये 20 मिनट मेरे साथ ये कर सकता है, तो आपने तो पूरा देखा है, तो
जी
आपको क्या लगा है?
जी, मैं ये बताऊं कि मैं इस फिल्म में इस वजह से 2 वजहों से गई थी एक्चुअली, कि वो अलग साउंडिंग थी। फिर मैंने सुना था किसी से कि मैं आई डोंट रीड रिव्यूज बिफोर आई गो इनटू एनीथिंग अनलेस इट्स बाय एक्सीडेंट, बट somebody told me that इसके अच्छे रिव्यूज आ रहे हैं। मैंने बोला ठीक है, एंड इट कम्स फ्रॉम गुनीत मोंगिया।
That someone was me.
Yeah. I was waiting for that someone to speak up and show thyself, show
You should,
thyself.
you should send him, a basket of rotten mangoes now.
Rotten cutters.
Katal. So Guneet Monga from Sikhya Entertainment, she's done some good stuff. So I thought it's sensible hoga, acha hoga. Cast bhi alag thi, Vijay Raj and this Rajpal Yadav now. But I have to say, they've tried so hard. They've made a social satire and they've tried so hard to make it funny, comical. It is forced comedy. I'm telling you, I'm willing to pay anybody who has smiled. Forget laugh. Even a Rajpal Yadav, whose face when you see, you actually want to laugh or smile. They've given him a different kind of a bald pate and little hair on the side, and made him a buffoon. And everyone else, including Sania Malhotra, very uncomfortable. Vijay Raj, I don't know what he was doing. It's forced comedy, absolutely pathetic dialogues. I'm saying this with a lot of responsibility. And there was only one dialogue, I think it comes out from Sania Malhotra's mouth. I'm going to try and remember it, where I kind of smiled. बट सोशल सैटायर आप बनाते हो, किसी के कटहल चुरा लिए गए, फिर वहां पे भी आप वो सब डालते हो ना, क्लास डिफरेंस एंड पीपल मिसट्रीटिंग अदर पीपल बिकॉज वो गरीब है तो उसको तुम मारते हो, उसकी जात अलग है, तुम उसके साथ शादी नहीं कर सकते। शी इज इन लव विद दिस कॉप who's a constable and she's a inspector, so they bring a lot of things in it, but it's not funny. Social satires like Janavido Yaro, that's a social satire that is so organic. This looks planned and very poorly done. Very poorly done. And the last scene, and I'm watching it and I'm saying, okay, fine, give me something in the end. Maybe there'll be something there to a saving grace. But wo nahi mila. Us film ka aakhri scene, I won't give out a spoiler, but that absolute last scene, I think, is you smile a bit, because the mystery of the missing kathals. And again, here there are girls getting kidnapped. There are girls who wear jeans and are looked at differently, and missing girls, cops not taking गरीब लोगों की reports. So इसमें भी काफी tropes थे, but इसमें जो comedy इन्होंने डाली है बहुत ही बेवकूफ लगी मुझे कटहल तो. Very disappointed. Very disappointed.
Nalini ji, मैंने ना being in the film business and shooting films takes me to all kinds of places all over the world, including the country. And I traveled a lot over here. And I have seen the country change in the sense from, especially the attire, from what a rural woman would wear to what they wear today. And it is very normal to see girls, young girls and others wear denims or jeans and whatever. And when a filmmaker makes a statement like, कि इसने जीन्स पहना है and you're looked down upon,
Yeah,
मुझे ना ये थॉट ही रिग्रेसिव लगता है. मुझे लगता है कि ये क्या थॉट है.
बिल्कुल. और किडनैपिंग इसमें भी है, हालांकि थोड़ी सी वहां पे भी ह्यूमर इन्होंने डाला है. और वो एस्केप थोड़ा सा इंटरेस्टिंग है, लड़की की जो एस्केप करती है वहां से. तो इट कुड हैव बीन फनी, बट द मोस्ट आई फाउंड राजपाल यादव, poor man, he's not getting enough work, I guess. But for him to take on something like this, and I don't know, it's very disappointing. And then we say that, people don't go to the theaters, or OTT पे लोग देख नहीं रहे हैं, and things are flopping. तो ऐसा स्क्रिप्ट आई डोंट नो किसने ग्रीन लाइट किया और कैसे ये ग्रीन लाइट होती है ऐसी.
मैंने एग्जैक्टली वही चीज बोली, आपने
बिल्कुल.
रिपीट किया उसको. करेक्ट है,
हाँ,
एब्सोल्युटली.
कैसे ग्रीन लाइट होती है ये स्क्रिप्ट्स जो ये लिखते हैं, इनको खुद ही इतनी फनी लगती है क्या? एक भी डायलॉग इसमें फनी नहीं है. विजय राज is such a fabulous actor, right? He's an organic actor. इसमें उनको भी ऐसे ऐसे करवाइए अलग अलग चीजें ताकि हम हंसें, ताकि वो हाथ ऐसे करे, वो ऐसे करे, वो एक्सप्रेशन ऐसे दे, वो और हम लोग हंसें. तो हंसी नहीं आती, खिज आती है, खिज, जिसको पंजाबी में कहते हैं ना, इरिटेशन, वो होती है. इस पूरे फिल्म में मुझे खिज आ रही थी.
मैं अब एक ऐसी फिल्म के बारे में बात करूंगा जहां हम फिर से यूनानिमस होकर ये बोलेंगे कि इट इज ब्रिलियंट. मैं कुछ काम कर रहा था तो मुझे रिसर्च के लिए आई नीडेड टू वॉच समथिंग, सो आई वेंट बैक इन टाइम एंड वॉच्ड एन ओल्ड फिल्म. द फिल्म इज कॉल्ड टर्मिनल. मतलब आई हैड सच renewed respect for this man as an actor when I watched the film all over again. Oh my God, the amount of little things he's done to bring the character alive. So when Saurabh you were saying कि सोनाक्षी का जो डिक्शन है वो चेंज होता है. यहाँ पे ये he comes from a different country which is supposed to be part of USSR which must have broken away or whatever. So it's like Crocosia or something like that.
It's a fictitious country, but it's from that part of the
Yeah,
world.
yeah,
His
yeah, yeah.
accent doesn't drop for a single second.
Not one line,
Not for a second.
and you are amazed at how this man can keep it. The evolution of the character, the way it sort of evolves scene to scene, from the time he doesn't know anything about English to dhire dhire understanding English. The conflict with the terminal director under whom the security is there. How slowly the people within the terminal fall in love with this guy. His struggles to want to go and even simple thing like eating food. So he realizes that if I take the trolley and I put it into the chamber, he'll get a quarter for every trolley. And he's been given food coupons, and the food coupons have all gone off in the very first instant itself. And now he uses these quarters, which he comes to know very late, so that he can eat. Very basic survival. There's a beautiful sequence here where they've shown him shaving in the bathroom. Right next to him, there's another traveler, frequent traveler, who's also shaving. And you see both of them standing together with foam and cream on their face, and both of them using razors, standing next to each other, both of them vigorously shaving. And then the other man turns, and because he has to, Tom Hanks has to do it because he's relegated to the terminal. He cannot go out. He can't go to to New York or whatever. And he's really irritated of staying here, but he's got no choice. And you have this other traveler who just looks at him. He says, "Doesn't it feel like you're staying in the airport itself?" and you have Tom Hanks who just stops shaving and looks at him blankly. What are you talking? I'm only staying here and doing nothing. The nuances of both Steven Spielberg as a director and Tom Hanks as a character, and the chemistry of a director and the actor is so brilliant. It is so beautiful. The drive of the film in terms of the emotion of why he's actually wanting to go to New York. Why does he want to go to the jazz club? Because he's made a small promise to his father that I will get a signature of the saxophone player from this particular jazz club. And that is the only reason why he wants to go. So the entire 2-hour journey of the film, and which runs into months of him staying in the terminal because of his country being at loggerheads, being at war, because there is a coup there, and he's left countryless. the desire of wanting to get into the city is so high that when he actually gets into the city in the end, he steps into New York, and there is an expanse that is showed, and you realize, even as an audience, you feel free of having come out into the open. He sits in a cab, goes to the hotel, goes to the jazz club, goes to that person, and he says, "Will you please sign this for me?" And his show is about to start, and he says, "Yes, but can I? My gig is starting. Can you wait?" That one line, "Can you wait?" This man has waited for months in the terminal, and then obviously he's oblivious to it, and he's telling Tom Hanks' character, "Can you wait?" He says, "Yeah, I wait." And he sits, gets the signature, sits in the cab, and tells, "I am going home." He had no intention of going anywhere in New York but to that club. It's so emotionally driven. The romance is there. It's a very nice, lovely romance between him and Catherine Zeta-Jones. And it is not a cliched romantic sequence where, in the end, uh, boy gets girl, because they show how the girl actually makes the sacrifice for him. And that is also purely out of romance. It's it's very nuanced, it's very beautiful, and it's very simple. It's a relationship film where there is a person who plays an Indian character called
Yeah.
Rajan Gupta, and he is so brilliant in the film. So I watched it again, and I generally don't like to watch films over and over again, because for me, I feel it is repetitive. I know what is happening, I know where it is going. So I watched this after a long time, and I thoroughly enjoyed the film. It's beautiful. It grows on you. It's a serious film about a character who's got caught in a terminal and doesn't know where to go. But you keep smiling and laughing right through the entire film. That's how brilliantly it is done.
Yeah. I'm a repeat watcher of things. I love
So
watching.
there, so you can go back and watch Terminal
Yeah,
again.
I recently saw it now. So I always go back. And in fact, today, Saurabh and I, funnily enough, we were talking about another film, which I don't know whether he wants to talk about so today, but that's also something which I've seen 5, 6 times. He's also seen it 5, 6
Yeah, all the president's men.
all the President's Men.
Oh, beautiful film. What a beautiful film that
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
So I've seen a series on Geo Cinema called Telsa King,
Oh, I've
starring
started. I started watching Saurabh. I've started.
yeah, starring
I I will have to first subscribe to Geo. I'm so used to Geo for free that now to pay for it is a concept that I'll have to digest first.
Yeah.
same for me also, आशु जी. मैं भी
हाँ,
फ्री में दिखता था,
हाँ,
but I wanted to watch these HBO shows which Geo Cinema में है अभी.
हाँ, yes, correct,
So
correct,
I
true.
wanted to watch Barry and the new season and Succession. So that's why I subscribed. Then I saw this thumbnail of this guy Stallone.
Hmm.
तो तब मुझे पता चला यार स्टेलोन ने सीरीज भी किया है. फिर मैंने ऐसी IMDb या विकिपीडिया चेक किया तो पता चला कि नवंबर 2022 को रिलीज हुई है सीरीज. सो आई वाज लाइक, ये तो नया शो, मुझे पता क्यों नहीं चला. देन आई सॉ द फर्स्ट एपिसोड एंड आई वाज लाइक वाओ, दिस इज लाइक वेरी एंटरटेनिंग. देन आई बिंज वॉच्ड. तो स्टेलोन पूरे शो में अपना बैड एसरी दिखा रहे हैं. इफ इट्स वो टर्म है तो लाइक बैड एसरी दिखा रहे हैं, फुल ऑन स्वैग. और मतलब ही इज अ गैंगस्टर इन द शो.
हाँ,
So he's a retired gangster. So for 25 years he was in jail. तो पहले एपिसोड में रिलीज होता है एंड he goes and meet his bosses and they are like, तू एक काम कर, तू अपना खुद का एम्पायर बना, अभी 25 साल तू जेल में था, तो एक काम कर, एक जगह टेल्सा, वहां जा और अपना एम्पायर खड़ा कर.
Tulsa Jao,
हाँ.
He got
Chandler Bing Civil.
friends reference.
No, that was just joking. अच्छा सौरभ, मैंने सिर्फ 2 एपिसोड देखे और आशु जी ने देखे नहीं, तो प्लीज नो स्पॉयलर्स.
तुम बोल रहे हो, उसको बोलता है तुम टेल्सा जाओ और जाकर के एम्पायर बना. मुझे लगता है टेल्सा जो तो एक गाड़ी है, वो बोलता है गाड़ी में जाके एम्पायर बना.
नहीं, Tulsa is a small sleepy town in Oklahoma.
No, of course, Tesla, the car
Tesla.
actually is Tesla.
Tesla, yeah.
But कितना कितना नाम उसका गाड़ी की तरह लगता है कि टेल्सा। जब बोला टेल्सा जाऊं क्या, मैं टेल्सा को अपने पास मंगा लेता हूँ।
नहीं, मैं पहले प्रोनाउंस ऐसे ही कर रहा था, टेस्ला किंग।
Oh God, that's funny.
I think this can be a good, though we don't support or sponsor remake, but still remakes, if अच्छा, जैसे कि हमने पिछले एपिसोड, अपने रीमेक वाला एपिसोड में बोला था कि remakes अगर सही से बनाओ तो we don't care like if it's a remake or not. So I think Telsa King can be a good series in Hindi, and I think Amitabh Bachchan can play Sylvester Stallone's role. And one more interesting thing, I hope producers are not listening this. It's कि Mandwa King.
Oh
This
God.
guy, a repeat value for Agnipath. Like this guy, Vijay's
Yeah.
character is
Huh.
going back to Mandwa and creating his own empire.
Yeah.
And he's working with Kanchachina.
Oh gosh, oh gosh. प्लीज ये रीमेक का आइडिया तो आपने दे दिया, ठीक है, लेकिन मैं कह रही हूँ अगर ये गलत हाथों में स्क्रिप्ट पड़ी और गलत लोगों ने इसको रीमेक किया तो यू नो के क्या होगा इसका।
But I think it's a trailer-made role for Amitabh Bachchan. Like he's also playing. He's Sylvester Stallone is playing his same age, 75, in this show.
Yeah.
So why not Amitabh Bachchan playing an 80-year-old retired gangster building his empire, Mandwa?
Yeah. But the socks that he gives, you know, the punches that he gives, it's very convincing coming from Stallone. So if you know, you've just said this, and I don't know which, but if Vinod Khanna was alive, I would have liked to see him in doing something like this. Wow. Yeah.
But Amitabh Bachchan has that persona, no? Angry
Yes,
young
he
man.
does. He does. He does.
There is a believability factor.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
okay, this guy was angry young man, now he's angry old man.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Angry older man.
Older man.
And one more thing, that this guy is old और वो 25 साल तक जेल में था, तो जब बाहर निकलता तो उसको पता नहीं चलता कि दुनिया बदल गई है, टेक्नोलॉजी आ गया है।
हाँ.
तो ही इज लाइक मेरे लिए कैब बुक कर, किसी को बोल, फोन करके बुक कर, सर उबर है सर, आप खुद बुक कर, अच्छा उबर से बुक कर मेरे लिए। There's one more scene where this guy is hitting someone and a girl is watching and she's like, I'm triggered, I'm triggered. He's like, what is triggered?
Oh God. But you know, people who haven't seen it, but what's going to become really interesting, and you've seen it, so you'd know, is what is going to happen with him and that FBI agent. I don't know. I don't
It's
know.
not FBI.
Isn't she with the FBI? Oh.
No.
अच्छा.
वो क्या है, किस एजेंसी में थी, वो देखने के लिए आपको शो देखना पड़ेगा।
अच्छा, ठीक है. Okay, no problem. तो
नहीं, पर on a lighter note, I only want to know, भाई साहब मैं कितना सब्सक्रिप्शन कितने ओटीटी प्लेटफॉर्म्स का भरूं?
ना यही प्रॉब्लम है ना आशु जी, यही है।
And you know what's the problem? I subscribed for Woot और Woot के सारे shows इसके अंदर है।
Yes. But you're right, वूट का जितना प्रोग्रामिंग है, सब कुछ, everything has come onto Jio. So obviously there is a strategic marriage over here. So I was wondering how many people will now want to then subscribe Woot. They will all want to say, okay, Jio ले लेते. Why do we want Woot?
Yeah.
I canceled the subscription और जब cancel कर रहा था, I just saw कि वो 299 per year कर दिया उन्होंने। गरीब हो गया है।
सौरभ, जब मैंने ऑफर देखनी थी ना, तब मैंने वूट का सब्सक्रिप्शन लिया था। उस वक्त ही 299 था, तो मैंने बोला अब इसका क्या है, कोई प्रॉब्लम।
That's the reason it's 299, because उसमें कंटेंट है ही नहीं। कंटेंट के नाम पे क्या है, कुछ नहीं है।
कुछ नहीं है वहां पे।
Now people will watch Big Boss and Roadies there.
अच्छा, people watch Big Boss still? Okay.
Yeah. That's sad, but that's the truth. People binge watch Big Boss.
Oh gosh.
पर मुझे बताओ ना, सीरियसली, तुमने ऑफर देखी है?
हाँ, देखिए ना।
सौरभ ने देखी है, मैंने भी देखी है।
क्या ब्रिलियंट है ना वो सीरीज।
माय गॉश, वो दोबारा देखने लायक है।
Absolutely. Highly recommended.
भाई फ्रांसिस फोर्ड कोपोला के रूबरू, मतलब हूबहू इंसान को कहाँ से उठा के लेके आए लोग।
सही में।
Resemblance is high level.
Yeah, and even the actor who plays Al Pacino is done a very good job. But really, the offer के बारे में बात नहीं करेंगे, हम उसके लिए एक डिटेल में करेंगे। हाँ।
क्योंकि उसको देखे हमको 2 हफ्ते से थोड़ा ऊपर हो गया, हम पिछले 2 हफ्ते की बात कर रहे हैं।
हाँ।
कला की सेवा समाप्त की जाए आज के लिए।
हाँ जी, बिल्कुल। और लिसनर्स को हम यही माफी मांग रहे हैं अगर आप लोग बोर हो गए तो, और नहीं हुए तो बहुत अच्छा। और ऐसे ही हम आपस में बातें करते हैं तो हम थोड़े से भी
भावुक हो जाते हैं।
हाँ भावुक भी हो जाते हैं और लूज ट्रैक ऑफ टाइम भी हो जाते हैं। और लेकिन आई थिंक हमारे पॉडकास्ट का मजा वही है कि हम कुछ प्लानिंग करके नहीं आते, हम सिर्फ ये बताते हैं एक दूसरे को कि आज हम किस चीज के बारे में बात करेंगे, दैट्स इट।
अच्छा, इसमें हाईलाइट ये है कि हम जो आज का टॉपिक में बात करने वाले, एक दूसरे को भी नहीं पता होता है कि हम किसके बारे में बात करने वाले हैं और आप किसके बारे में बात करने वाले हो।
हाँ
तो चलिए अलविदा अलविदा कहते हैं हमारे सुनने वालों को, और हमारी तरफ से जो हम जितना कहना चाहते थे आज के लिए, इस पॉडकास्ट के लिए, ये आज के लिए इज इनफ।
और जो भी कंटेंट हमने मेंशन किया है, डू वॉच, जाके देखिए। दीज आर आवर
हाँ,
recommendations also.
इवन इवन इफ वी नॉट लाइक्ड इट।
Yeah, it's
हाँ,
their
गुड,
choice.
नाइस, करेक्ट।
तो हमारे जो लिसनर्स हैं वो दहाड़ मारेंगे, कटहल खाएंगे,
टर्मिनल में जाके बैठेंगे
टर्मिनल में जाके बैठेंगे
फिर टेल्सा में जाके एम्पायर खड़ा करेंगे।
और अपने मोबाइल पे 999 रुपए का पैसा भर के जियो का सब्सक्रिप्शन लेंगे। लेकिन सबसे सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट ये है कि वो लोग सब नाइकी एयर जूता पहन करके जाएंगे।
And listen to our podcast also. Just do it.